Hello and welcome back to another video. As you can see from the title, today I will be ranking and swatching all 6 of my Nabla palettes. I got all 6 of these half off at Ulta, although there are only like a few that I actually pay full price for, so stay tuned for that. First, I'm going to be grading by criteria and then I'll do a final ranking at the end, but the criteria is just so you can see where I'm coming from and how I actually rank these. And there will be timestamps so you can see exactly what you want. Click on it down below. But the swatches will be at the final ranking because it makes more sense, at least to me. Okay, so the first criteria is number of special shades. In every single palette, there are some mattes, some like cream to powders, some shimmery shades, glittery type shades. Some of them don't have those and some of them have others. Whatever they want to call it, because they have specific names for it. This is an Italian brand, so I guess that's just what they wanted to call it, and then it translated to English and it's called something different. Like there's latex mattes, regular mattes, which they call super mattes, celestial shades, glittery shades, like it's a lot. So every single palette has one or two of those formulas. So for me, a special shade is something that I specifically think that I don't have anywhere else and couldn't get anywhere else. Okay, for the secret palette, I'd say I have about 3 to 5 out of 15 of those because there are some that I think are special, like some of the plain shimmers, but then there's also like the ones that are like just it's crazy actually. It'll be overlaid exactly what I'm talking about, so don't worry about it. In the coral palette, there's one, but technically two, because there's one that I actually think is special, and then there's one that's supposed to be special, but I don't really think it is. The platinum has 3, but 4 if you count the gray matte. I would say only 3, primarily because of the silvers, like the 3 different silvery type shades in there. Perfect. The gray matte special to me because I don't have gray mattes like that. So that's the only gray matte that I have. So it's special to me. But out of 6, it's not bad. It's a good percentage. The Wild Berry palette is 2 minimum, but the mattes are rarer in my collection. So those are technically special because I only have like only a couple of those deep type purples. But yeah, there's only really 2 special shades in there. The Midnight palette includes 4, but 5 if you include the deep blue matte because, again, rare in my collection. But yeah, it's a lot. And the Analogue palette includes 3, but the burnt orange mattes are a rarity because I don't have a lot of burnt orange mattes where they're like heavy on the brown but they're still orange. Those I can even use for blush, putting it right here, and I can also use the cream to powder as a lipstick if I wanted it to, so it's pretty good. The next criteria is simple. Do I think of this? And that's specifically because, like I said, I have 6 of those palettes, but I have so many other palettes. And when I think of my Nabla palettes, there are only a couple that I actually think of when I think of them. And then there are others where I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. Because I know how many I have. Like I know I have the secret palette and then number 2, 3, not 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like I know exactly which ones I have. But whether or not I actually think of them when I'm thinking of like colors to get, that depends. So first off, we have the secret palette. Do I think of this? No. Literally, I only ever think of the cuties when I think of my Nabla palette, so no. The coral palette, yes, but at least for 2 shades, which is the matte coral and the mandarin shade, which is what I'm wearing on my eyes. Right here in the middle. It's basically my version of the Fenty Diamond Balm when I don't want to take that out, because even though it's orange, it just does that glittery effect on me. Obviously, if you were lighter, it'd probably actually show the orange base, but on me, it's just wet glitter. I love it. The Platinum palette. Yes. That's all I put because yes. Yes, I do think of it. It's the only reason why I even got any of these. The wild berry, it's literally untouched. Like I used it today to do this look, but beforehand it was literally untouched. Like it wasn't even swatched. And then I swatched it. So yeah, that's bad. Anyways, the Midnight palette, yes. I always think of that one. Like I said, certain colors are just unique to my collection. So when I need it, I think of it. And the Platinum and the Midnight are the most unique versions of what they are in my collection. And last but not least, the Analogue palette. Yes, but only now. I didn't think of this until I made a video on it. I have full in-depth, well, not in-depth, but swatch videos and review for the Coral palette and the Analogue palette, because the Coral I did for Valentine's Day and the Analogue I did because I forced myself to do it, given the fact that it was one of the palettes that I knew I liked and never used. So yeah, if you want to see my review on those specifically, have videos already. They'll be linked down below. But yeah, I do think of it, but only now, after I've already used it. Now, the next and last criteria is, would I get rid of it and can it be replaced? Because would I get rid of it is different from can it be replaced? Like, can I actually dupe this out to where I wouldn't need it and it becomes redundant? Maybe, maybe not. But would I get rid of it? Like, personally, if I had the opportunity to like only save a couple of palettes, would I take these? That's what this is. So first off, the Secret palette. Not right now because of the special shades, but if I found a dupe, then yes. Because even though I really like that palette, like I said, I never think of it. So even though the shades are like unique and I have like, it's all set up, it's laid out perfectly, I literally never think of it. So maybe I'd keep it. Like it's one of those things where I already have it, so I might as well. But if I had to choose other palettes, specifically out of my Nabla ones, that wouldn't be as high on the totem pole. It would be pretty high because it has mattes and then like pinks and blues and greens. So it has a lot of colors actually. If I only had to choose one palette out of all of my Nablas, like to use, and that's it. Like let's say I could only use one palette for a week, I'd probably choose that one because it's a bit more versatile. But if we're not talking about versatility, then no, I literally never think of it. Like I never go, oh yeah, that exists. So yeah. The next palette is the Coral palette. It can be duped, but I wouldn't get rid of it just because of how easy it is. Like everything's already laid out. It's like, you know, how people have a gigantic Morphe palette, but they only ever use their quad because it's just easier to use like, okay, this matte, shimmer, go. So I wouldn't get rid of it. And like I said, it's primarily because I already have it. But if I like was trying to talk myself out of getting it, like if I didn't have it, then I probably would have. Yeah. The Platinum palette, that's a no. Straight up no. No silvers come close. That is literally like the color silver. Boom. Like the Platinum palette is the only reason why I ever even wanted any Nabla palette. And it's specifically because of the silver in it. So I would never get rid of that. And it can't be replicated. I've tried. The Wild Berry. Would I get rid of it? The one special shade is common, but still welcome. Meaning, yes, I would get rid of it. But like right now, it does serve a purpose. Like I actually would use the shimmers in it, and that's primarily why I use palettes. Like mattes can be duped, but shimmers are the ones where it's like, do you really want to run out and get a single shadow or order it? Like the special shade I'm talking about is Alchemy, and that's Alchemy 2.0, but they have an Alchemy 1.0, I guess, on their site. I just wouldn't order from the Nabla site for one single shadow though, so you know, it'd just be a lot more hassle than going to Ulta. Well, not going to Ulta because it's online only, but ordering it from Ulta when I can get other stuff, you know? It's like how I primarily get all of my Pat McGrath stuff at Sephora, even though on their site it's probably cheaper. It's just the ease, you know? So yeah, I would get rid of it, but it can't really be replicated because I don't really have that much stuff in my collection that would replicate it. The Midnight palette. This is a heavy no. So many textures, so many different shades of blue. Like, my Blue Moon palette actually has a dip. I use blue a lot, which is weird because, like, you'd think that'd be like an unconventional color. Like, I feel like people, when they think of colorful neutrals, they think of like purples, greens, because even though they're more bright, you can also have like sagey muted colors that just blend into your skin. Pinks, oranges, yellows. Like, I don't think anybody's thinking about blue because most people don't look blue. But I actually really like it. So my ColourPop Blue Moon palette and my Nabla Midnight palette are top tier, perfect. Love both of them, even though they're just straight up blue. It also has a bronze in there, so that's useful. And last but not least is the Analogue palette. I put unique but still neutral, so definitely keep. Yeah, that's unique. Like, the shimmers in there are wild. The brown is a cream to powder, so I can use it on my eyes and my lips. Like I said, the blushes, I mean, the orange can be used as blush. Like, basically, that's a face and a palette. So, even though it's neutral, I would 100% keep it because it's very useful, but it's also special and sparkly and different. It's not just like brown matte and go. So yeah, that's all the criteria. So now it's time for my final ranking. But based off my criteria, which do you think will be at the number 1 spot and at the number 6 spot? Comment down below and then comment to see if you're correct. Let's see if you think you know where I'd actually put it, because I don't even think I knew where I was going to put it when I was doing this. So yeah, let's go. Okay, so the number 6th place. What did you think it was? If you guessed Wild Berry, you'd be correct. Okay, now let me read from my notes because I wrote my reasonings. I have literally never used this palette, and I honestly don't think that I would often because there's a very specific look you're getting and it's going to be pink or purple. I don't think there's enough variety to rank this any higher, and I honestly got it because it has alchemy in it. And while it's the 2nd edition, getting this palette was cheaper than ordering the single from the site. Because even though the single is probably only like $10, I'd have to pay shipping and then euros transferring into USD. So yeah, this is a beautiful palette. I have the paper and all of these. I actually really like this palette and I would use it if I was going for this look. But since it's not light enough, this is a very deep, dark, sultry type look. And I don't really go for that too often. Like I said, the shimmers in here, you can see it's shimmering. It's very shimmery. I don't know. I got it because I thought that I would like it, and like I said, I wanted that alchemy shade, and it was cheaper to just get this for $12 instead of like order the one single shade. And plus I have another cream to powder and it's pink, so that's useful, but it's just not the most useful shade, at least for me. If you like these type of colors and you wear them daily, this is probably the perfect palette, you know? It's cute, small, compact. Yeah, I really like this. I just wouldn't wear it constantly, meaning that since I'd only ever use it for one shade, it has to be at the bottom. Now, what did you think was going to be in the 5th spot? If you thought the Secret palette, then you'd be correct. If you didn't, well, I know. This is actually a beautiful palette, and it's one of the first ones that I got. I love this palette, actually. Like I said, if I had to choose one just for the versatility, it would be this one. Like, look at the shades. There's no other palette that I have in this collection that could do everything that this could do. And it's laid out in such a way that you don't really have to think of anything to do. But I literally never think of this palette, even though I used it all the time when I first got it. Now let's see what I actually wrote. I was more enamored with this when I first got it, but as of this point, I think if I didn't already have it, I would talk myself out of buying it, which is true because I have most of these shades. There are some shades I can't replace as of yet, but if I had them, I don't think I would need this anymore. Like, I literally keep forgetting I have this one, and I only think of my cuties. This is an amazing palette, though, with unique shades and an easy layout, so I would recommend this for anyone without these colors who want some fun colors but prefers neutrals, because this is primarily a brown palette. You can do so many different things with this palette, but it's primarily a brown neutral palette. That entire bottom row, even though this one right here is a nice duochrome, and this blue is a nice transformative topper, but it's also just blue. This is good. This is perfect, honestly. And it's the reason why I got this. Like I said, that coral one was just added on. I primarily wanted the secret palette and the platinum, but I got this because of how versatile it was. But now that I have other palettes, I don't really use this nor think of it. Also, this is just me, but I like the outside of the palette to show what's on the inside. And that's probably why I also think of my cuties a lot more, because this is white and gold and that has nothing to do with the inside. So when I'm thinking of this, I don't ever think of all of these spectacular colors. Like I said, the shimmers in here are crazy. And the mattes are super duper soft. These are the super matte or latex matte, whatever ones, I don't freaking know. But they are butter. They feel like silicone, but they're powder. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. I had to use it because I haven't used it in a minute. But yeah, I don't know. I just forget because it doesn't look like how pretty it is on the inside. And speaking of the coral palette, that is number 4. Now, why did I put this above the secret? It's because I actually think of this primarily for 2 shades. And the shades are Mandarin right here and this coral called Feelings. The other ones I can do without, specifically this pink over here. I just swatched it against the pink and the berry palette and they're basically the same color. So yeah, that's another reason why I wouldn't need the berry color. But yeah, these 2 shades are what I primarily think of it for. But I have this coral type shade in my mini orgasm palette that I got from NARS last Christmas or 2 Christmases ago. So the only shade that's really unique is this Mandarin shade. The only reason why, like I said, this is ahead of the secret palette is because I think of it. I can actually use this by just putting the Mandarin shade in that brown shade that's in the corner, and that's a look. And the Mandarin shade is just so glossy. Doesn't really look like anything but nice wet shimmer. So I'd use that a lot more than anything else in these other cutie palettes. So yeah, let's see what I wrote. I primarily got this because I knew I'd like the platinum and the secret palettes when I got them, and at the time I didn't have many of these shades, and since they were half off, I got 2 cuties for the price of 1. Now, there are really only 2 shades that draw me in, but they're unique enough to where I actually think of this palette often, and it also has one of the prettiest designs of the bunch. Yeah, I really like the outside of this. Not only is it pink, but it has like, I don't know, some shiftiness in it. I don't know what that is, but out of all of them, this is one of the prettiest outsides. It looks like a fishbowl. It's crazy. Now we're into the top 3. What do you think the third one is? If you said the Analogue palette, you'd be correct. Give yourself a round of applause. I love this palette. Like I said, it's neutral but useful. Like, you can actually do something light, something super duper dark, something orangey, something pinky, because this is an orange to pink duochrome. This nice brown shimmer right here. Everything about this is good, and like I said, the cream to powder is a brown, a deep brown. So you can sheer it out to be light and smoky, or you can like wear it dark. It's dark enough to be a lipstick. It's crazy. Yeah, this is so versatile, and I didn't see how pretty it was until I decided I was going to force myself to use this palette, and it's top tier, top tier. And it also looks like a little camera thingy. So yeah, I like this. Actually, it's crazy. But yeah, let's see what I wrote. Analogue. Not gonna lie, I didn't see the true beauty in this until I made a video on it. Overexposed is the standout, but even with the simple light gold, it's so reflective, and darkroom is a nice cream to powder color to have because a nice deep brown is so versatile. The mattes are the most burnt orange browns I have, so it's nice since they can be used as blush too. So yeah, basically everything I said is what I wrote down. I love this palette. Like, even though I only used it a couple of times so far, this is useful. Out of all of the more neutrally palettes, I would think of this and carry it with me because it's small and you can use it all over. This is a nice light orange, and then you have a deeper one. This is a deep brown, light gold. This is a pink to orange shimmer. So you can actually just wear this and boom, that's a one shadow look. And this is a nice deep shimmery brown with some glitter flecks in it. And I don't know, it's just, there's a lot going on here in such a little compact amount. Like I said, I only rated the secret one so low because even though it's versatile, it's big. Like, I never think of it and it doesn't have a cohesive color story. Like, every line does have one and altogether it does work. But since I never think of it like, oh, this is the brown palette, the orange palette, I never think of actually using it like that. This though, I know exactly what I'm gonna get out of it, so I'm more likely to actually use it. Okay, if you actually remember which palettes are left, you probably already know which is second because you know which one is first. But in case you didn't know, what do you think the second one is? You have a choice between the Midnight palette and the Platinum palette. So which do you think is runner-up? If you said the Midnight palette, you'd be correct. I love this palette. It looks like just art. It looks like art on the outside. It's crazy. And then you go inside. Mine's a little bit messy. Ignore that part. And you have all of these different blues. Like, even this white is a duochrome blue. This is a powder blue, baby blue, cream to powder matte. This is a deep, deep, dark blue that you can sheer out. This is a nice glittery type, deep, like oceany blue. And this is duochromatic, but only a little bit. It's crazy. And this bronze, even though it kind of throws off the whole vibe, blue and orange go together because they're complementary. And this is very complimentary. It's a nice one shadow look, but also you can use it as liner. I really like this palette. It's top tier. And like I said, the cream to powder, anything with a cream to powder, if it's a nice basic shade, you can use that with a lot more than just this palette. Like, I'd run into this palette just to get this as a blue base. Yeah, if you didn't guess, I use this palette all the time. It's really nice. And the bronze is basically my skin tone, but just more shimmery. So it's also nice to just whack on. And, you know, it's pricked. I really like this palette, but let's see what I wrote. Let's see. Midnight palette. The most unique blue shimmers I've ever used, especially with the cream to powder light blue. The bronze is a complementary shade and I wouldn't prefer it in here, but it is nice for a one and done in simple graphic liner looks. It is. Like, I technically would have just added in like a different blue. That's just me. Like, I would have added in like more cerulean blue because number one, that's like my favorite crayon, and also it would go with this corner over here of the shimmery blue and the light blue, and then you have like a cerulean right there, but like an actual matte. So then we'd have two mattes instead of just the one and the cream to powder. But yeah, the fact that most of these are shimmers also brings it up higher because I love shimmers. Like, a matte, it's kind of pointless unless you're doing an all matte look. A matte's gonna get covered up, but a shimmer changes everything. But yeah, this is number two, meaning number one is the Platinum palette. Honestly, if you didn't think it was the Platinum palette, you're kind of crazy. Like, what? What? You're bugging. You're actually bugging. Look at this. That is liquid. That is shine. That is silver. If you told me they melted down like a piece of silver and put it into here, I'd be like, yeah, you're correct. You're 100% correct. I will literally show you this silver compared to the silver in the Stone Cold Fox palette from ColourPop. They're close. They did get the closest out of my collection at least. But no other silver in a palette has ever been this silver. It's actually crazy. And I honestly think it's like the fine glitters in it, plus the silver base, plus the type of shade that it is. Like when they say that their shades are like the celestial, the freaking shimmer, they know what they're talking about. There is a difference. And even though I don't remember the difference, there is a difference. This is a perfect palette. I would wear this all the time. You have a very nice, like, I'd say like antique greenish, brownish gold, plain cool tone brown. So you can do like a regular plain look. But then you also have this rosy color over here, which is like, I'd say more taupe brown. And you can put that on top. You can mix it with it. You can do a lot. And then, like I said, this is like a gray black. Like, it's like when you have a bad black, so it shears out to gray. That's what this is, except for the fact that it actually is supposed to look like that. And it's not just a bad black. It's actually just a nice gray. And these two in the middle, they deserve to be in the middle. Look at that. Look at that. Like, there's no comparison. I've never found anything. Never, ever. And this palette specifically is what got me into all Nabla palettes. I saw this in so many declutters and I was like, what is that melody? Like, this, everybody swatched the freaking silver and they either just went, yeah, no, what was I thinking? This silver you can't find anywhere else, or they were crazy and just decluttered it. Like, I know that some of these people, they get makeup sent to them on the daily, but I don't think anything has ever come close to being this silver. Because maybe mixing mediums, maybe those like liquid shadows, but a powder shadow or shimmer shadow, because it's not, I don't know if it's completely powder. I think it's more like suspended gel type shimmer. Nothing in a palette that you can buy at a drugstore, because like I said, I got this from Ulta and for only $12, $12.50 probably, because it was like $25 half off. Yeah, for less than $20 basically. This is actual drugstore pricing, and I got this. I would have paid full price for this. I would pay full price for this. If I had to give somebody one of these Nabla palettes, I would give them this. Nothing else will compare. Nothing else that you get will ever replace this, even if you're keeping it just for that one very, very silver shade. There's also, like I said, the other silver shade in here that is the dark, more gunmetal type silver. That's more astronaut, space agey. I love that one too, but that silver at the bottom, out of words, out of breath. Now let's see what I actually wrote. I don't think anything will be as passionate as what I just said, but let's see what I wrote. So what did I say about this platinum palette? I said, it's the only reason I know about this brand, and almost all of the shades are unique and irreplaceable, at least in my collection. This is the ultimate special palette. It might not be something you use often, but it is something that you are sure to use, okay? So far, it has the most true to name silver I've ever encountered. And honestly, I don't know how this isn't a bigger deal in the makeup world. Like, honestly, why is nobody talking about this? If I had to have at least one Nabla palette, like, and if I could only just choose one out of the entire collection, it would be this one. It would. Top tier. I don't care. Like, I might not be able to use all of this on a daily basis. Ow. Like 4 actually are on a daily basis, because, you know, you could do a nice wing with that. And then these 2 are just for special occasions. That'd be fine. You know, I'm not a grunge girly wearing black and silver all the time. But even if it's just for special occasions, this is useful. This is important. Imagine wearing like something silver and having an actual silver eyeshadow. Not gray that's just a little bit shiny. Not a silver that's kind of lackluster. But an actual true to name silver. I don't think you could get this anywhere else. If you haven't seen it already, I'm kind of sort of crazy about this palette. And I like these cuties because they're small. They're unique. You have a mirror, like everything is here. If I could only choose one palette, I choose this one out of all of my Nabla collections, out of any other Nabla palette that will ever come out. Unless they put that silver in another palette, this is the only one I'll ever need. Thank you. End of discussion. But yeah, I'd highly recommend any of these palettes. I actually like all of them, even the ones lower on the end, you know, from about 4 to 6. They are all useful to me in whichever way it is. I mean, I've kept entire palettes just for one shade before, so if you actually like all the shades in it, that's even better. Most of these go on sale. Like, I would not say pay full price for it if you can help it. Like, right now on Thursday, it's going to be on sale. Almost all of these besides the coral, because that doesn't exist on Ulta anymore. They took it down. Same thing with the Metropolitan, which is number 4, and that's what I was going to get. I was going to get number 1 and number 4, and then I have a complete collection. But they took number 4 off of the site. So I'm only going to get number 1. So let's see how that fares. That will be number 7. If I actually do end up getting it, that's where that would rank, because I'm only getting it for completion, 1, and 2, from the swatches, the black in there is absolute trash. So I don't, like, that's kind of an important shade if we're gonna have like one palette. So out of all of it, I'd rank the Nude palette so far number 7. Haven't tried it yet, but if I do get it, it'd be number 7 in this ranking. But yeah, highly recommend. I love all of these. I would never get rid of them because, I mean, first off, I have them now. I'm not throwing out anything I have, especially when it's this good. But yeah, if you want any of these palettes besides the coral one, they will all be on sale on Thursday, March 30th at Ulta. Instead of $12.50, they will now be $13 because they raised the price by $1. That's annoying. And yeah, they're all good. Again, highly recommend. Let's see, out of all of them, I say if you get one of these 4, you will not be disappointed. Specifically this platinum one in the front right here. But one of these 4, you will not be disappointed. Every single thing, even the frickin' mattes, are immaculate, okay? And since this is the only other one on sale, I'd say get this only if you really like purples, because that's all you're getting out of this. If you want this alchemy shade and don't want to buy it from their site, then 100% recommend this. But yeah, honestly, I wish that the coral one was on sale, because look at this shade. Like, that mandarin shade is everything. It's crazy. It's like a wet shine, and then a nice coral shade that most people don't have. But yeah, that is my ranking. That is where I would place the Nabla palettes against themselves. Where would you place your Nabla palettes, if you have any? Did I persuade you or dissuade you from getting any of these? Because, you know, you're probably here for swatches. I primarily wanted to make this video because I know that there are swatches, but most people just don't have them out. Like, people have swatches, but it won't be with the palette that you want. It'll be like Nabla palette swatches, but they'll not have like the platinum. So yeah, if you're looking for the Nude or the Metropolitan, come back for the Nude. I'm going to get that one. Metropolitan, I'll get that whenever there's a sale. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good jazz, and I will see you in another video. Bye!